What's up? This is my Tory Burch sister. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you
So
for
excited to be here.
Okay, tell us about your business.
So Sip is a coffee alternative that gives you everything you love about coffee without the caffeine crashes, jitters, or tummy troubles. Our main customer is female between ages of 25 and 55 who's looking for hormone health, who's also considering gut health, and also doesn't want caffeine. So maybe not even anything to do with adaptogens because they can tamper with hormones and gut health. So that's us.
Okay, awesome. She's like, you're talking to me. You're speaking my language. Okay, amazing. Can you tell us one other thing and tell us about how you're getting traffic to your website right now to give us a little bit more context?
Yeah, we're totally working with just influencers. We are not running ads right now because we were trying to figure out what was working and wasn't working, and we didn't want to burn money, to be honest. And so that's pretty much it, is all organic and working with influencers.
Okay, fantastic. Dan and Steven, do you have any other questions for Orletha before we move on?
I guess my main question is, do you have any sort of like science? Because this is like kind of on the teetering around like the supplement.
It's not a supplement. We don't have any teacher credentialed in biology with a biology degree. I'm a master herbalist. So we don't use any health claims. We exited a SaaS before in the wellness space, so we know not to use any health claims at all. So what we talk about is just gut health, which is what anybody can say with prebiotics or whatever you want to say, right? So we don't have those issues with teetering on the science or making any health claims.
No, that makes sense. I guess, is there a way that like you're able to kind of prove or validate to the consumer that this does help them keep hormones regulated or like reduce bloating and that sort of thing? Or is that just kind of spoken to in like the reviews and stuff?
Well, so if you have any coffee and you have it bloating, then you know that coffee causes bloating for you. And so you need to stay away from it. And so those people are actually actively looking for an alternative. And so that's kind of why the coffee alternative market is blowing up right now. And then if you look at just our ingredients, you know that chicory is inulin and it's prebiotic, and you already like it's like, I guess it would kind of be like saying whole wheat bread has fiber in it. Like you already know it has fiber in it. So if you know that, then you're not already looking for that. So we kind of don't call it. We used to call out a lot of the science, and it was confusing people, and so we changed it to be more straightforward. Like, look, you're having a hard time with coffee. Do this.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I find myself asking questions about, because I'm in your target market and also wondering, but what's interesting is I am not educated on, I'm not ready to give up my coffee. I am definitely worried about my aging. And so I am not ready to give this up. And so, you know, for me, as I'm looking at this site, I am definitely, you know, just looking for reasons to say no.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. That means that you're probably not our target audience. Our target audience is a person who already knows that they have to give up coffee. We work specifically with influencers who talk about giving up coffee, who talk about gut health, who talk about hormone health, who say, hey, you know, if you're in the luteal phase of your cycle, you definitely need to stay away from coffee. And now here's what you need to do, right? So it's people who already are educated in the fact that they need to give up coffee. We're not trying to convince you to give it up. When I had to give it up, I did not want to, right? So we already know that. So we don't have that conversation. We are not trying to convince those people.
Okay, that's awesome context. That's really great context. Okay, so with that context in mind, Steve, what are your thoughts on the homepage?
Yeah, I feel like what yours is kind of a similar story to the first case study, but what you are saying is so much more convincing and powerful to me. Even though I understand that you did test out some of the science on the website, because I think that what Dan was asking was a really good question. But I would maybe like have you tested having like a female, you know, on this homepage and, you know, showing that female, just because I was showing this to a bunch of the people on my team, and it took them some more research like into your Instagram account and things like that to kind of understand that it was for females of like kind of like the ages of whatever, like say 20 to 50 or 45 or something like that. It's just not as clear to me, like right as I get in onto the website, like, could I be drinking Sip? Like, would that be a good option for me,
and
I guess?
that's my question for you then. So we have a lot of guys, a lot of male people who buy our product, and they're like really great subscribers. Will that turn you off if all you saw was like, our colors are already very feminine, it's already very female forward. If all you see is women and colors and everything is, you know, female, will that be like, dude, this isn't for me? Like, will that make you, I don't want to turn off my guys, but I know that my bigger audience is women, but I don't want to be like, yeah, no dudes.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just depends. If guys were 10% of my audience, I probably wouldn't care, and I would just double down on everything female, because if I double down on females and I 2x my revenue that way, I'm way more interested in that versus just keeping it a little bit ambiguous and then hoping that I get a couple guys trickling in here and there. And then just one other question too, to listen or comment looping in your marketing strategy and everything like that. I just think that what you're doing is fantastic. Content first, video first. Whatever works on organic could then be used for paid. So I think you're at an excellent step one. I think a lot of other businesses should be doing the same thing that you're doing, working with influencers, trying to figure out what type of content works, and then moving into paid. Some people just think that they want to generate revenue. It's like a switch that they can flip on, and hey, I can just go to paid, and then I'll think about content or like as an afterthought.
Yeah, I second all that. I think even like testing a video on the homepage here would be really cool, just to like, you bullet out the top 3 benefits right there. But if there was a really great video that can go into it, that I would watch it for sure. I think also I'll challenge the statement that you made where you're not trying to convince folks to move away from coffee. Like, to me, I have a cup of coffee right next to me, but if I don't really feel like anything's pulling me away from doing that at this time, but I'm always curious to understand what is better for me, and if I can get, you know, the energy, but also reduce bloating, and maybe there's some other benefits specifically for me that I can discover from trying your product, I'm all ears. So I think it just kind of comes down to like your priorities on like a funnel perspective. Like, if you'd rather capture the people right now and get some traction amongst those that are, you know, actively looking for alternatives, you're right, there's probably higher intent and higher conversion rates associated with that segment. But there is a massive group of coffee drinkers that are like not even really familiar with this, but still might be curious to discover it. And so I mean, that maybe that comes just by nature of getting some traction with influencers and you know, the social media stuff. But I will say this, like, I love the design, I love the branding, I love the as seen in right there for Shark Tank is super validating. Everyone loves to try things that are on Shark Tank and gift those types of things. I will say right now that there's a 95% chance I go and try this for my wife, because she is like everything right here is speaking to what I've observed of her wanting, even the little avocado icon. So yeah, just like overall look and feel is really great, and I think I see massive upside here.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of things right. I mean, one of the things that I'm curious too about that I don't see enough testing on is actually how things like this, when we talk about the content and your value propositions, is how, you know, this is very much oriented around, you know, energy without the crash, big taste, better benefits, good for you. And then I like this, like, say goodbye to bloating, but also like keep hormones regulated. This is definitely speaking to someone who is having that problem. And so, you know, is there something actually even more specific? Like your bloating is very specific, but like what happens when you keep, you know, what does coffee do to you? Like, I wonder what would happen if you tested the messaging to orient around the problems that coffee causes versus the vitamins that your product, I mean, that's a decision for you to decide, like, if that's on brand for you. But it's good to know, especially even this is something you can do in social media as well, is just to see, like, how does the consumer orient around the message? Is it around the pain? Is it around the benefit? And then just dialing some of those things up and down and playing with that. What did you have to say? Also, do you want to raise?
I did. I'm raising my hand again. Yeah, just going back to, I didn't finish. I had another thought and I forgot about it. But when Stephen brought up the point of like male versus female. I think that would also be a great homepage test, is to be able to almost like link from the homepage directly to like for men or for women, and the product could be the same, but at least the content, the videos, the benefits, the results that maybe that folks are seeing, reviews, like you can kind of create one version for men, one version for female, and I think you'll do a great job of capturing them instead of just kind of having one generic.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
Do you
let's
think quizzes work real quick? Do you think quizzes work like in this situation? Like if we had them go through a quiz, quick, the first question is like dude or female, and then like all the other questions that we usually would ask like flavor wise, and then take them to something that is, like you were just saying, curated for who's looking at it.
Definitely.
Okay.
You should definitely explore that. And plus, you're capturing as much first-party data as possible, which is the future of everything marketing. Like you want to own your first-party data. You want to capture as much as you can, and that will definitely, yeah, like I said, future-proof your business.
Yeah, 100% aligned with that, especially given the amount of products that you do have. I think some sort of like, I'd call it like a guided selling type of approach, where like answer a series of questions. I wouldn't go too in depth, maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 at most, and then their results page is like kind of sorted by like top recommendations and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and also one note, as long as we got to talk about the data on this too, like when you have those quizzes on your site, what we often see is that they've gone through that process, and who you can call it like prisoner's dilemma. Like if they feel like they've gone all the way through, then they're just going to go ahead and buy. Or it also feels like that this recommended product bundle is personalized to me, and that can increase conversion rate. But as well, when you have those Digio, Okendos, and all those different plugins, connect that to Google Analytics, because then you could do some correlation analysis on the answers and the actual first-time purchaser conversion rate, or AOV, and all this other stuff. So all that data will become available for your shopper intelligence.
What was the name of those that you just said?
Oh, Okendo, Digio. I mean, anybody out here have any other preferences for things? Those are the 2 that we work with primarily. And quizzes, we find we've actually, sometimes, and we can talk about this, Dan, like sometimes I've seen the quiz show up kind of like in the middle or at the end, or they'll put it like way at the bottom. What we've tested on a collections page, particular for these kinds of products where all the benefit can't be shown on the bag or in a picture of the product or a bottle, we've actually thrown that up very high on a collections page to encourage the quiz taking, and those who take the quiz have a tendency to convert higher.
Yeah, I've used Digio in the past. I know that like they're good for like a variety of different types of interactive content. I'm not sure how well they like play with Shopify these days. There might be a better alternative that's like kind of like guided selling specifically for Shopify. I just can't speak to it.
So check them out, and if anybody from the community has any other products that they like to mention, go ahead and throw that up. The strength of this community is all of our thinking together. I just want to note that Craig actually also mentioned some things, like we're talking about the value propositions, having the different kinds of, so you could also use value props for customer quotes, from voice in the sky quotes, where you show like a big quote on the page. And so something that Craig's just like spitballing is, I never thought I'd see the day when I could love something more than coffee. You can create some of those as part of your marketing strategy, but certainly take a deep look at your reviews and see what they say, because often what people say about your products is actually the message that you should be using on your product detail pages. How did I end up here? All right. Well, we're actually doing such a good job on this. We're running a lot over. We're going to do a quick look at this product detail page. Looks like we've got a lot of education going on in here. So I'm going to quickly scan down, and maybe what you can do, Stephen and Dan, let's just do some hot takes. So I'm going to let's make sure that we're looking this in mobile, because if you're coming in from most of the time we see that 80% of traffic does skew mobile. If that's not you, let me know. But if you're coming in from affiliate marketer, it's usually
Ours
social.
is
Yeah.
so much mobile, like 90% probably.
Yeah. Okay. So also you should be looking at in mobile device. Like in this view, I'm using developer tools to do this. So it's not actually a mobile device, but definitely try to look at it all the time like this when you're working from your laptop.
Yeah, my couple hot takes in general, I really like everything. I think that little logo at the top is not super legible to me. Maybe it looks better on mobile. If that's like an industry seal, then obviously you can't change it. But if you have some freedom to change that, I would. The chat bot being kind of like hovering where it is, that little question mark, that orange question mark down the bottom, that's a little bit unusual. I would make it, if that's like an AI chatbot or something, I would maybe consider changing that to make it a little bit more clear that like you can kind of get answers there. But in general, I really like the accordions and a lot of the design elements.
Yeah, I think this is a great PDP. The only other suggestion maybe is to add some of the social content at the bottom as more social proof. You have the reviews there too, but great place to add in some of that UGC content that you're curating right now.
Yeah, there are definitely apps for that too that allow you to have like all your social proof, your social media kind of scroll across a PDP. We do see that work often better than this. So awesome. Thank you so much for joining and being vulnerable.